Alrighty, so hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Lauren if you haven't seen me around before, and today I'm wanting to share with you all of my February reading habits all wrapped up, what books I read, what I thought about them, and just, since I'm a little bit of a nerd, a little bit of data on them because let's just go ahead and get into it. For February, actually, so we had 29 days in February. It was leap year. I can't believe I read more books than I did in January. Like, I don't know what's happening. Once again, I did not have a social life for some reason. I have learned that my view on audiobooks might be like really skewed and that people are saying you should not count them towards your reading goal for the year. I think they should count. I pay money on Audible for them. I put my time into them and they become like a full hobby for me as I do my like paint by numbers and I do my painting and I listen to the audiobook, and that's a full activity for me. The reason, we'll just get into it. This is a safe space for all audiobook readers. I read a total of 3,293 pages, which was a 20% increase from January. A little bit nerdy on the data side. So I read a total of 14 books, which means I am currently 25% of the way through my yearly goal of 100 books. So I've read 25 books total. So like I said, I read 14 books total. 5 of those were audiobooks, 6 of them were Kindle ebooks, and 3 of them were physical hardbacks. As for the genres, and this is kind of, I do this by the whole main overarching genre of the book. If you were to look at the cover, what you would think it is. It's, you know, judging a book by its cover, but for this, it's fine. It's not like I'm putting it anywhere. Okay, so I read 7 thrillers, 4 romances, which I thought I would read more romances than that, but 2 historical fictions, and 1 romantasy book. So now just on to a rundown of the books and kind of my general thoughts on the vibes. So the first book I read in February was Lessons from Chemistry. I got it from the library on my Kindle and I rated it 3.5 stars. It was good, but I don't think I would have read it if there wasn't so much kind of like hype around it truly, and the whole show and everything. I haven't started watching the show. I'm kind of refusing to get Apple TV just to watch a single show. But it's a historical fiction. It's set in like the 50s, 60s. It's definitely 50s. In California, it's a single mother raising her daughter. Very strong feminist, women in STEM. It's a vibe and I can understand why it was so popular, but the book just wasn't entirely it for me. Also, it had a dog, and the dog was one of the main characters, which was great. And it was deeply sad. It was very upsetting, honestly. All of it was very deeply upsetting. Next up is the first audiobook that I read, and it is All the Dangerous Things by Stacey Willingham, and I rated this one 4 stars. So it's a contemporary thriller. It's set in Charleston. No. It's set in Savannah, Georgia, I believe. The mother of a toddler, it's a year into him being missing. She's separated from her husband, and her husband has found a new lady that looks almost identical to her, and she has put everything on the line for her to find her son, essentially. A reporter comes in and he goes, "Let's dig." Very suspenseful. I don't want to give away any of the ending. I loved listening to this as I was doing my cricketing, honestly. Like, it was a very satisfying read and it was a very well done audiobook. The third book I read in February was for my boozy book club that I attend, and it was The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. I read a physical copy and also a audiobook, so it was just taking me so long to get through this book, and I had put it off for so long I had to do the audiobook on 2x speed to finish reading it in time. So I gave this one 3.5 stars, and I feel like the half is a little bit generous. Honestly, it was a great book. It was a very interesting book. It just was not the vibe. If I hadn't read it for book club, I would not have picked it up. It is a historical fiction set in Chicken Hill, Pennsylvania. There's a murder, and it starts out with the murder and a body being found in a well. You just kind of learn about the community, essentially. So it won a few awards. It won a couple of awards and was nominated for another. So it won the National Jewish Book Award for Book Club Award in 2023. It was an NAACP Image Award nominee for fiction in 2024. And finally, it's the winner of the Barnes & Noble Book of the Year for 2023. Like I said, when we were asked to kind of like rate our range in book club, I gave it like it wasn't my favorite. It's just not what I would pick for myself. But that's okay. That's why we do book clubs, and it was still fun to read it and go and talk to people about it afterwards. Okay, so we are on the 4th book, and it was an ARC that I was able to read, and it was Mortgage of Convenience by Danny McLean, and I posted a video review. There's a review on my blog, and I even did one on Instagram, I believe. I really love this. It came out on February 27th, so just a couple days ago from when I'm filming this. It's a contemporary romance. It's spicy, very lovely spice, honestly. It's available on Kindle Unlimited. It's LGBTQ plus, with the male MC being bisexual and having good bisexual representation in it. So I gave this one 4 stars. The 5th book I finished was an audiobook, Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica. I gave it 3.5 stars. It was a very well done audiobook. It was very weird, like very weird. I will say it's one of those thrillers where there's kidnapping and child abuse involved, unfortunately. A mother goes missing, and then a week later, a mother and her daughter go missing. The second mother is found dead and the child is still missing. Suddenly she comes home, she escapes, she comes home, and they're trying to figure out what happens. So that's all I'm gonna tell you. Lots of plot twists. I was really driven to keep reading it I wanted to figure out the whole story, which is a very well done thriller book then, suspense book. Number 6 for February is Done and Dusted by Lila Sage, and I gave this one, it was my first 5-star read of the year. So it's the first book in the Rebel Blue Ranch trilogy, little series. It follows Emmy and Luke. She is a barrel racer, and he's like a farmhand, and no, he's not a farmhand. He like helps out on her family's ranch, has known her since, they were kids, brother's best friend. Oh, he owns a bar too. Very, very well done. It's spicy, it's a romance, it's a cowboy romance, obviously. Very well done spice. It used real sex words, which we love to see because I do not accept fluff here. Also, the second book comes out I think in March or April, and so I'm very excited to get my hands on that, and now I understand the hype of this book. Next up, number 7 is Hidden Pictures. It is available on Kindle Unlimited, and I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I think I briefly talked about it in my Kindle Unlimited books that I didn't regret reading video that I just posted a couple days before this one, hopefully if everything aligns. It's supernatural, it's paranormal. When I posted that I was reading it on Goodreads, I got a couple comments and DMs being like, oh my gosh, this was such a good one. And I'm like, really? Because to me, 15% of the way in, it seems weird, very weird. Oh my gosh, it was so good. I was here for the ride. I could not put it down. I literally went into work 30 minutes late one morning. I can flex my schedule, but I went in 30 minutes later than I normally do to finish reading this book. It was that good. 4 stars, very high rating for me, honestly. What was that one? Was that 7? So we're on to 8. gonna be embarrassing if this is not number 8. So number 8 for February is The Inmate by Frida McFadden, and I rated this one 3.5 stars. It was a classic thriller in my opinion. I got it from NetGalley as an ARC. I think somebody's republishing it. I don't know what's going on with it. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend I know. I just got an ARC of it and I was able to read it. I did read it in like 24 hours. I did read it really fast. I don't know why I was able to fly through it, but I was able to. I also went in work late to finish reading this one, but I think psychological thriller. It's kind of like set in a prison. She is a medical nurse practitioner for the prison, for the men's like max security prison. And her high school boyfriend is there. He got arrested for he killed like 3 or 4 of their friends on like a sleepover night. She and her best friend, Tim, survived kind of by luck almost. And she also, you find this out pretty early in the book, I guess. I can, like, this is like first 10%. She has a son who is 10 years old, and this guy has been incarcerated for 10 years, and he does not know, the son does not know who his father is. You can put the pieces together. It's very interesting. Lots of twists and turns. I wanted to figure out what was happening. The ending let me down just a little bit. Like, it really did. Like, the twist was kind of like, really? Man, I wish I had had like a hint of it possibly. So not all the pieces were there, but it was also the first time I'd read a Frida McFadden book. So if that was 8, this one's 9. So number 9 was The Heartless Hunter, and it is a romantasy book with witches, and the world building was really well done, honestly, because they did not need to build an entire world. Understood the limitations and kind of the purpose of the book. Anyways, I gave this one 4. I'm gonna kind of pop it up to 4.25 stars. Very well done. Romantasy, witches. She's a witch in hiding. He's a witch hunter. Enemies to lovers. There is some spice. No words are used and you don't actually see anything happening. There's nothing happening on the page in front of you. Yeah, but I did loan my copy out to my friend because I was like, I read this in one weekend. You are gonna love it. And so thank you to Book of the Month Club. If you subscribe to that, you know. I got my copy through there and it was a good read. It really was a good read. I know when the second book comes out or like the series continues, I'm gonna have to go back and reread the first one. Like, the knowledge is already out of my head, honestly. But it had the right amount of clues for you to try to solve the twist. So you kind of knew what the twist was, at least I did, because of the clues, but it was still a great twist. Yeah, if you decide to read that one, just follow the clues and it's a good time. It's a good time. Yeah. 9. So 10 is The First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston. And so this one was a Reese's Book Club pick. I listened to this one as well and I rated it 4 stars. The audiobook was really well done. We had one narrator, kind of spy, thriller, southern thriller, so set in Louisiana, but they go all over the South. They go to Mississippi, they go to maybe they go to Nashville, somewhere in Tennessee, and then they go to Atlanta. So she's a spy, works for a bad guy, and the guy that she's currently falling in love with, he's one of her targets. That one had a lot of twists and turns and you're just like rooting for her the whole time. Oh, also, okay. So the narrator, she is from Eden, North Carolina, which is like not that far away from where I am. And so she talked about certain areas of Winston-Salem, which is where I work, and then parts of Greensboro, which is where I live. That might be a lot of information, but they're big cities. I was able to kind of like relate to that more. And as it was happening and I'm like listening, I was like, what? Eden, North Carolina? So it was, that part was cool. And so maybe that like bumped it up for me because I know those 3 places at least. Overall, yeah, it was a great book. I really enjoyed listening to it. If you get the chance, you should read it or listen to it or consume it in any way you possibly can. So that was 10. So 11 is This Spells Love by Kate Robb. I rated this one 3.5 stars. This was also a Book of the Month Club book for me, but I think from like October. Unfortunately, mine did get some like water damage because the day it like arrived at my house was the day the sky decided to just have a deluge, and all of the mail was soaking wet and useless, and the box, because I couldn't get home before they delivered it, sat on the porch. But it was still readable. I could still read it, obviously. It was just like a bit, yeah. It is a contemporary romance with witches, but kind of not. Kind of more paranormal, magical realism. It's a best friends to lovers parallel universe. She has to make hard decisions. There is some spice, and we love to see spice. That, say it with me, real sex words. Thank God. Maybe as long as I'm like manifesting these books to keep coming my way, they will, because I feel like I had a very lucky month, honestly. So This Spells Love was book number 11. Is that right? Sure. Number 12 for February. We're almost near the end. Number 12 was It's One of Us by J.T. Ellison. I rated this one 4 stars. I listened to it on audiobook. This one is deeply moving, and if you were thinking about reading it, please realize, as a content warning for it, it talks about infertility and miscarriage a lot. Like, that is one of the main themes of the book, unfortunately. That's a sensitive topic. So it was a deeply moving book, but it's also a thriller. This guy, you know, like, he's in his 30s now, married, but in college he donated his samples. It got misused, and so now he has like 20 plus offspring in his area of Nashville, Tennessee. Again, kind of a southern thriller. It's kind of fun to hear him talk about Nashville and like a beach and all this type of stuff. But one of his sons, his DNA was found in connection to a murder, as him and his wife are struggling with infertility. So there's a lot of tension, there's a lot of questions. It's multiple narrators, and so if you do listen to the audiobook, all of them are voiced by a different narrator, which helps. Hold on, were they? No, okay, actually, I take that back. I don't think they were voiced by different narrators. I think it was all one. I actually can't remember, but one sounds right. So I gave that one 4 stars. It was very good. I think at the end, I truly did cry, because, yeah, the ending wasn't like what you wanted, but, whew. Yeah. Number 13 was an ARC that I received from NetGalley, and it is Just for the Summer by Melody Carlson. I rated this one 2.5 stars. Honestly, because I felt lied to in the synopsis for what I thought the book was going to be about, what the vibe was going to be. I have a very specific type of romance that I like to read, and it does not happen to be Christian romance or Christian fiction. And honestly, I would not have known that unless just by chance, I slowed down for all of that like copyright page where they give information about the publisher and the date it was published and all this, and it gave credit to the Bible. So that's just not what I prefer to read. It's totally okay if you read that, good for you. I just did not like the story. It's a romance, but there was like no romance. There was like dates and friendship, no hand holding, no kissing, just deep friendship and talk of marriage. So that was kind of, did not like it. Also, one of the characters, Jacqueline, was just a bitch the whole time, a whiny bitch, and immature and ungrateful and just selfish and mean. I did not feel sorry for her one little bit, because yep. So that is my thought on that book. It took me forever to get through it because I just did not want to keep reading it. It was not a good time for me. And finally, the last book I read in February, number 14, was The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. It was an audiobook, and I rated it 3.5 stars because the ending was not what I wanted it to be, and I wish there had been more clues throughout it. It's about a lawyer in DC. She's one of the top lawyers, and her husband is a failed writer, failed novelist, and he decides to cheat on her in their lake house that she bought, essentially just for him to help him write. He cheats on her for over a year, and then his mistress ends up dead, and he is arrested for her murder, and his wife, who's the top criminal defense lawyer in DC, has to try to get him out of it. There are some plot twists throughout. There are like, I guess red herrings is the best way to put it. Yeah, it was really well done. I did not love the audiobook. I think mainly because I did not like the voice of her husband. I can't even remember what his name was. I did not like that narrator's voice. He just sounded annoying. Like the annoying guy who comes up to you at the bar and he tries to act like he is better than he actually is. I guess that's the best way I can put it. You're just like, dude, leave me alone. I didn't want to have a conversation. That's what he sounds like. Kind of a guy that I don't want to deal with. So I didn't want to hear his perspective in a book because he essentially took the, oh, poor pitiful me, blah, blah, blah. Even though I'm a terrible person, I don't deserve this. But it is a thriller, kind of a whodunit. Yeah, that's a good one. So those are the 14 books I've read in February. I'm kind of surprised again. So I also finished one of my paint by numbers, so I'll be starting a new one in March. So more audiobooks, I guess. So if you happen to read any of these books, go ahead and comment below what your thoughts were and if you liked the book, if you agreed with my assessment, what you rated it, etc., etc., and if any of these other books are on your TBR list. Thank you so much for watching this February wrap-up of my reading habits. If you happen to enjoy watching this video, consider giving it a like, and if you are looking for more book content, consider subscribing to my channel. I release a new video every Friday, and we have fun, and you do not want to miss out on any of it, so go ahead and subscribe. I also have an Instagram page, Bookstagram, whatever you want to call it, where you can find more content like book reviews, recommendations, what I'm currently reading, and you can get more pictures of my cat, Franklin. I also post stories and whatnot, and you can just kind of stay more up to date with what I do. There will be a link in the description below. Thank you for watching this. I kind of can't believe how many books I read. So yeah. All right, I'll see you guys later. Bye.